What about implementing Maray? So you need templates. And apparently on Swift, the main approach to template is the stencil language. I don't know if you ever used it, but it's used by many other open source tools. They work usually by declaring an almost complete piece of code, Swift, for example. Then you provided a context, which is a dictionary with key values, and then you resolve your template against your context. In Maray, we have a very basic value inside the context. It's called main placeholder or name. If you take a look at this orange code, it's almost the declaration of a normal view controller, except that this double curly brace thing is actually from stencil. So if you were to pick a name and the name were Maray, when you run Maray and provide it with this context, the resulting file will have class Maray view controller extending UI view controller. It works as simply as that. Yeah, it's working. Hello. So this is a talk about skeletons and bones because I'm obsessed with skeletons, apparently. No, just kidding. I'm not like Soros from yesterday. I had this great idea about placing a tooling talk right after Shistov. So really brilliant for me. I'm not going to screw it up. So it's going to be about why scaffolding is not a thing on iOS. So before we move on, you already know me. I'm Stefano Mondino, and when I am not talking about navigation views at conferences, I do actually iOS work. I'm mobile platform leader for Synesthesia, and also iOS tech leader for Synesthesia, which are apparently seems like the same thing, but they are not. Here are my references, and if you want to follow me on social media. About my company, and I want to talk about this to get to the point why we ended up writing a tool for scaffolding. We are a company based in Torino, a kilometer away from here, actually, really close. And we do custom projects for many different customers. Many of them, I'm not at liberty to discuss it, but we do from small to very large-scale projects all around the world with international customers as well. We do iOS and Android native development and also React Native and Flutter. We have 4 different teams for this. That's why I'm mobile platform tech leader, because I technically supervise them all, but I have hands-on on iOS. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here, right? So we also do web development, marketing, communication, AI, machine learning. And you may probably notice that we also organize events for developers. Swift Heroes, DroidCon, Flutter Heroes. We are about to launch React Native Heroes and other heroes we may come up with in the future. And about my team, my awesome team, the iOS team in Synesthesia, we have a very specific way of working compared to what a usual product company does in their time, meaning that we have the chance to kickstart new project a lot. The projects have their lifetime over time, of course, and then we need to have the chance to move developers around projects when the first one stops or is in pause or is in maintenance, and we have to move them all to the new one. That's why we came up with a shared architecture. It's based on reactive model view model, or model view model because it was reactive in the first place, and then somebody took out the reactive part for Swift, apparently, with unit testing. We kickstart every project with the same base project, and then we evolve it into a final product. We recently switched over to Combine from Maray Swift, even though I still think it's great. And SwiftUI for the view part, but not for the navigation part. You already know that. That's why I call it SwiftUI kit, because we have the view controllers always, and only the view part in SwiftUI. And I've come together with some buzzwords, like you can see in HR advertising on LinkedIn. They put together a lot of different words randomically. But we are actually using all of this stuff. So we are using Twist. Actually, Twist, as I discovered from a tweet from Leo from the other day, so I think it's pronounced Twist. Mint, sorcery from Christophe, Fastlane, CI/CD, SPM, you name an acronym, we are probably using it wrong, but we are using it. No, actually they work and they really work so well. And why did I took the time to introduce this? Well, I want to talk to you about the skeleton, not in a medical way, unfortunately, or maybe it's better for the best. But for us, a skeleton is an empty project, runnable. So it's an application that you can get and you can work on it, but you can also copy it to become a new project through time. I wanted to bring to you an X-ray of a skeleton because it felt like the most logical thing to do. What we can put inside the skeleton? Well, the global project setup, for example. So if you have a modular architecture with separated frameworks, or the external dependency configuration for copods, or in our case, SPM. Or all the utilities and extensions that may not fit a separated package on open source or cloud source, but you want to have control on that very specific extension, but it's going to be more or less equal to in all your projects. And also the continuous integration and continuous delivery basic setup. We use Azure DevOps, which is incredibly good, actually, even if it's from Microsoft. But for that kind of stuff, it's really, I know that Microsoft doesn't have the best name for iOS developers, but it's really good for that kind of environment. We host our repos in there, and then we have an internal continuous integration setup with Mac Minis, because we had the Mac Minis in-house, so why not to use them, right? We also are using, like I said, external tools, and it's nice to have the configuration already inside our project, so sorceries with lints, with format, and Swift something I cannot remember at the moment. And also something that I feel it's very important, the git ignore setup, because otherwise your Xcode project and Xcode project related file with your name and your folder are always ending up in committed to Git, which is, in my opinion, a mistake. So it's easy to set up and kickstart a new project with a git ignore already in place. Once you've taken your project and basically change it in name into your new app name, what you usually start to do is to implementing new stuff into it, right? I've decided to call them bones, like Alice in Chains. It's a song probably. And it's, in my opinion, it's the most logical way where you can think about adding feature to your project. You don't have to have surgery on a real person and adding random bones with 1,000 or 10,000 bones to the person. But in a project makes sense, in my opinion. Meaning that if you, we saw that before with Shai, he had to create a lot of boilerplate stuff from scratch for reducer and all the TCA. I'm not prepared about TCA at all, but I felt related to that. So all that boilerplate, importing composable architecture stuff in the file, it's something that takes not that much time, but as your project grows, it takes a lot of time. So you can create you have boilerplates for that, and if we take a step back to the UI kit world, usual boilerplate, it's, I don't know, a UI view controller with the view did load already pre-configured, or the SwiftUI view and the SwiftUI previews, test files, so XC test files, view model declarations, if you, like us, are using MVVM, data models, whatever it may come to your mind. Of thinking about yesterday's talk from Firas and Valeria, probably also the design stuff and the styling, the atoms and the tokens could be an example of bones. We have the skeleton turned into a real app. We have the bones. We have to actually do a surgical procedure or a procedure to install them. The subtle art of installing a bone into your skeleton-based app, I called it. So again, let's think about a real case scenario. We want to create a whatever screen. Let's call it whatever, for instance. So what we need to do is to create an empty, in MVVM, we need to create an empty whatever vmodel file with its very own declaration by choosing the base name. The base name is going to be whatever in this case. Then we have to create, let's imagine that we are still using SIB for whatever, nice pun, whatever reason. So you will probably end up creating a whatever view controller, a whatever SIB file. I know there is already a quick way to do that. Let me get back to it in a minute. Once you have the declaration of those two files, you will have to take them all together and place it and instantiate it somewhere in your code. It could be a factory, it could be a coordinator, it could be a segue. No, please, no, don't use segues in storyboards. I mean, it's not 2013 anymore. Then, probably if you're doing unit testing, you should also create whatever test. So a test file for your, I would say, your view model. From my point of view, given that I always given a limited amount of time to work on projects, I wouldn't lose time implementing tests for the views, but it's something opinable, of course. When you are done with this, you will probably have something to fix because probably you have made mistakes into all this process. And you probably want to go to a coffee break because it took you probably half an hour of time, I don't know. So it's not a very simple thing to do if you have your own architecture, right? And if you are a tech leader or somebody who is simply doing your pull request review, you will also need to double check not only the contents of the files, but also the places where those files are being set up. Probably you can teach developers to do this, but there's no way, as far as I know, to automatically declare what is your structure, the structure of your project. Probably they're going to use different naming for the folder, so I choose whatever, but maybe they put it in the whenever folder, I don't know. So this is some kind of issue I found out during my tech leader career in 11 years in Synesthesia. Probably you have seen something like this. These are the Xcode templates. This is what happens when you hit Command-N on your MacBook. You will see this small window with some kind of basic templates. And maybe you have tried to implement your own because Xcode is giving you a very easy way to implement this kind of templates, right? No, it's not easy at all. If you try to do that and create your very own templates, you may be able to create the basic file structure, but when it goes to configuration of it, you will end up dealing with plists that are really hard to deal with. And you don't get any additional features that I'm going to show you in a moment, okay? So this is why in Synesthesia, and following Krzysztof advice from some past edition, we try to implement our very own tool. And we decided to call it Maray, thinking about this tool as the head of the brain of the skeleton. We could have called it probably Skull, because it felt more reasonable, but in 1997, I've been playing a lot with this game when I was a kid, and I remember this little skull here from Monkey Island. This is the third chapter, called Maray. So I decided, as a tribute to him, at least as long as they don't sue me for trademarks, but I don't think so, I decided to call the tool Maray. If someday you will see this tool called Skull, or whatever we may come up with, probably you already know the reason, but I mean, it's a tribute, okay? So what this is about? It's a command line interface as of today. You probably already have a terminal open in your workflow because probably you are still launching pod install if you haven't moved to Swift packages, or you are launching, I don't know, Swift formats with lint all the time, or whatever you may have. So it's quite common in our work to have a terminal open to do stuff. So what you have to do if you were to create a new bone, or at least run a new procedure to install a bone into your project, would be to first decide what kind of bone you want and what kind of procedure you want to perform. Do you want to create a new screen? Do you want to create a new component, a new model, a new token, a new reducer for the composable architecture, or whatever? And once you got the name, for the procedure, you will also need a name for what you are creating. I chose whatever before, but you could be, I don't know, product if you are creating a product view controller, right? So the idea is to run a single command, decide that you want a screen, and what you want it to call or to be related to a product. You hit enter, and something should happen. So I want to show you a quick demo with like coding, and I really love this meme, so let's try to see if I don't screw this up. So I will start by showing you the wrong Visual Studio Code. I use Visual Studio Code a lot because I get the chance to work on configuration file and the terminal at the same time. I think it's readable, cool. So let's start with also a very, very simple application. This is not an architectural talk, so everything that you can find in here about architectures is probably wrong. So don't do this at home. It's just for the sake of introducing Maray to you. So we have an incredibly working SwiftUI preview, actually, with a tab view, which is probably the only piece of SwiftUI that is about navigation, but it's working, actually. And it's empty at the time. So this is the basic skeleton of an hypothetical application. It's made with a main tab, a view model for the main tab, empty, it's not doing anything at all, and that's it. What I want to do is to be able to scaffold automagically, it's probably not the right terms, but I like it, some kind of screens without having to remember what I have to do. So as you can see, I have a scenes folder, and it's empty. So what I'm going to do now is to move back to my Visual Studio Code. Where am I writing? I don't know. No problem at all. Just clear it. And I'm going to see what my tool is about. So it's called Maray. You can just type down Maray. It's using Commander, which is an awesome open source project that it's implemented in Maray, and is going to list, give you a list of commands. So the first one is going to be Maray list, and it's going to show you all the procedure that I previously configured for this project, okay? So as you can see, we get a scene view model, and the scene. We also can see that we have description for it, probably not meaningful enough, but I can work on that. So let's try to create a new view model for our home screen. So I want to take my tab view controller, take a home screen, and have it being the first one. So I'm going to type down Maray, hard to write, run, which is the command to actually perform a procedure. I'm going to pick scene view model, and I'm going to use home as name of it, for it. And this, if we get back to Xcode, we'll end up having created a new completely empty home view model in my home folder, and home view model test in the test folder, already tied to, I don't know if you can see that in the target membership little panel here. I cannot enlarge this, but it's already tied to the proper target. And it only took me a moment of my time. Sometimes with this approach, Xcode crashes, but I think you are used to that, having Xcode crashes. What I want to do now is, by using the same name as before, and also create the view for my view model, Okay, so they can work in pair. I'm running Maray run scene view, because I call it scene view, and using home as my placeholder. And if you take a look at here, we have work, please. Okay, yeah. We have an already scaffolded view with the tab item inside. Again, is it the right place to use the tab item with the text? I don't know, and honestly, I don't care at the moment. It's not the topic of this talk. And if we take a look at the main tab, you can see that we have the first tab in the bottom bar and home. This is the home screen, right? So the name home has been propagated to my screen. Is it worth of something having this kind of labels? Probably not. But if you take the body of your SwiftUI view, you can get in here and do whatever you want, which is what you usually do for a new feature, except that all the scaffolding and the previews and the stuff, it's already there for you. So the point of this is not having to lose so much time dealing with details. Let me show you another thing that I want to make available to you is that also we have automatically launched a SwiftLint pass, and the code is properly formatted in the proper way. Let me try another command. So as you can see before, we have scene view model, and scene. What is a scene? It's a combination of view model and view, actually. So if I were to launch scene view, and since it's a tabbed application, probably we are ending up having a settings screen. If I type down settings, if I can write it, yeah. After a while, if I get back to Xcode, you can see that we have a settings folder in there, settings view model, with customized with the settings words. Also, we have a comment at the top of the file with my name, but it's not hard-coded, and the current year, meaning that if I were to give this talk next year, I wouldn't have to change it into 2024. And also the view as before. And the nice thing is, without typing any kind of code, I already have the instantiation of the new settings view inside my tab view model, and also in my main tab view. And in my main tab view model, I already have the declaration of the two sub view models. Again, probably not the best choice, but it's just to showcase Maray. As you can see here, I have some small commands. You can type whatever you want, and the nice thing is that you can configure Maray to look for placeholders inside your file, commands or actual line of code. Look for them, insert some piece of code like this settings view model instantiating a new view model in place of that placeholder, and then re-add the placeholder back again. So, by the way, I didn't tell you about this before, but this tool is open source, and then I'm going to show you the link at the end. Otherwise, it will be pointless, right, to display everything if it weren't open source. So this was a very basic example, and yeah, probably I avoided this live coding thing on my shoe. Nice. So what about 22 minutes, right? I'm doing great. And what about implementing Maray? So you need templates. And apparently on Swift, the main approach to template is the stencil language. I don't know if you ever used it, but it is used by many other open source tools like Sorcery, SwiftGen, also Twist, sorry, and other. They work usually by declaring an almost complete piece of code, Swift, for example, but you can also use it for text, any text-based scenario. Then you provided a context, which is a dictionary with key values, or arrays also. They can be nested structure and very complex thing. And then you resolve your template against your context, okay? In Maray, we have a very basic value inside the context. It's called main placeholder, or name. If you take a look at this orange code, it's almost the declaration of a normal view controller, except that this double curly brace thing is actually from Stencil. So if you were to pick a name and the name were Maray, when you run Maray and provide it with this context, the resulting file will have class Maray view controller extending UI view controller. Okay, it works as simply as that. If you ever use Sorcery, it's the same approach. Sorcery is way above this thing. I mean, it's incredible what it does. So, and I'm not saying this because of Shistov, because I don't see him. So it's not for that. So once you get your templates, you may have many of them implementing the same feature. Okay, we call them bones, as I said before. You can specify, these are going to be YAML or JSON files, and they're going to have parameters needed by the context itself. The templates for your new files that you are going to be created. We saw a moment before the SwiftUI view or the view model or whatever it may come to your mind, but also the templates for the small parts, we call them replacements, that are getting replaced in already existing files. Okay, so it's a mix of the two, and we need a configuration file so that we can specify them both. Also, you may wonder how we get to have Xcode recognize the new folders and have it already available inside. We use two kinds of plugins. One is for designed for Xcode specifically, and it simply gets your template name. I'm going to show that in a moment. And then the other one is the shell plugin, meaning that before or after creating files, you can run whatever shell command from terminal you may want. As I said, it supports both YAML and JSON, and the reason why it's not written directly in Swift, but we're using configuration files, is because this tool, while it's been written itself in Swift, it can be used also for Android, for Flutter, for whatever other language that doesn't provide you a scaffolding language. You can also organize your items and your bones into procedures inside packages so that you can pick a package and put it into another project that may be already kickstarted from before. So you don't need to start from a fresh project and to use Maray. You can implement it in your ongoing projects, and you can also share the packages all around. Let me quickly, okay. Last but not least, you have a central place where you list all your files. It's called the Maray file, of course, in the root folder of your project. You can also specify a list of stuff that you want to be executed every time whatever procedure is run, and also a global context that can be used all the time. For instance, you can have a company name in this environment if you want to, I don't know, put your company name in every file you create. Spoiler alert. Let me just quickly showcase those configuration files. It's easier if I do. So here we have the Maray file. As you can see, I have Maray /project /project YAML. Project is the name of my package containing all the bones related to my project. Then I have an environment containing main target called Maray demo and main test target called Maray demo test. Here I have a file header that is going to calculate the author from Git. It's going to launch in the background the author. It's a dynamic variable, this one, and the current year. There's a list of dynamic values available for templates on our documentation online. And also some global path for your project so that you don't have to change it all the time. And also, I'm asking my templates to always run makelint, which is a make file running SwiftLint and Swift format altogether, after every execution. Then, if we take a look at the project description here, we have a list of procedure. And here you can see all the same stuff, scene view model, and scene that I showed you before. And they are only referencing other YAML files, one for the scene view, containing my stencil from the file you just saw. So here we have struct name first uppercase view, meaning that if I were to choose product with a lowercase value, this is going to become product with a capital letter at the beginning, right? And all the rest of it. Also, in the view model, I have two, in the view model bone, I have two files because I never want to create a view model without its tests, right? So I have the file for the tests, view model tests, with a very basic expectation here, and probably worthless, and also the instantiation for the proper view model one, extending observable object. Is this right? Is this wrong? It will depend on your architecture, okay? Just give me, I lost it with the, okay, plenty of time yet, yeah. Last thing is the configuration file itself for this bone. You can also use stencil files, stencil declaration for the paths inside the configuration itself. So in here, basically I'm saying, take the view models with stencil template, and whenever you launch it, place it into the scenes folder / whatever name you picked, / whatever name view model Swift. And also use the Xcode plugin to include this in the main target. Do the same for the view model test file and include it in the main test target. And the main test target is in the Maray file so that you can share it. It's going to be Maray daemon test, so that you can share it with all your bones. Where was I? Okay. And also I have the replacement section where I'm telling them, take the main tab view model already existing in your project, look for Maray view model comment in this very particular syntax, or actually you just can type whatever to do, or it's not a matter of interpreting your code. It's just looking for the string, and it's going to replace it with let whatever view model equal whatever view model instantiation / \n. So it's just like that. I know that this kind of configuration is a lot to process and to understand because I know that this tool is not straightforward to implement the first time. That's why in the documentation there's a quick start guide to implement the very first bone and very first procedure in your code. Hopefully it will grow as a community. I don't know if it will be useful, but we will maybe improve the onboarding process for this tool. This is the best I came up with so far. So let me just show you a brief other slides because I like to hurt myself, apparently. So let me show you a more meaningful example. I don't think I will be able to open source this, probably because it will be pointless or it will require a lot of, how can I say, a lot of documentation that at the moment I don't have. But here I have our architecture, actually. So it's an architecture based on Twist. It has very different modules, and is a multi-platform architecture, meaning that you can develop modules representing a small part of your application in separated projects, and also have the targets for macOS, iOS, or whatever you want. And thanks to Twist, watch last year's Firas talk about Twist. It was really amazing. And actually, it was the one who convinced me to change from Xcode Gen to Twist, which is really good. So I can, with a single variable, decide to ditch completely macOS if I don't need it, or keep them both. At the moment, as of today, we still not have a dual application with both iOS and macOS. Usually, we either do macOS or iOS, but the approach and the global architecture is the same. So what I want to showcase, to show you now, is to try to create a new module. And as I said, a new module is a complete new project that needs to contain a lot of files and also a lot of tests and scaffolding. This model, through dependency through dependency injection, is created inside the main app, hosting the whole how can I say, the initialization route of my app. So the place where you put all the things together. Okay. So the nice thing about Maray, probably it won't compile because I still need to polish that, but I mean, the 4th and 5th of May came out so quickly I didn't even realize that, but it's just an idea of this. So I'm going to take a look in, this is another project, by the way, it's the twist one. So I'm going to take the Maray list command, and as you can see, I have a lot of them, okay? All in the project package, sorry. But I want to use this one, which is called module in here. And let's see what happened. Maray, run module. And I want to call it, I don't know, what can I say? Let's try heroes, for instance. I can also, since I'm going to create a lot of files, I can also use the preview, so that I can see a list of all the files that Maray automatically will scaffold for me, okay? There's a lot. Probably meaningful, but if I remove it, meaningless, sorry. But if I remove it, you will see a lot of stuff is happening. So I have the correction, and I also have twist commands running in the background. I'm going to use the version on disk because my workspace was created from scratch. And if you open this thing, you will see that I have the Heroes framework in here, already precompiled with all I need, with all the registration and stuff I can come up with. And if I was to add a new feature, for instance, let me see if this works. I don't know, SwiftUI scene, for instance, Maray run SwiftUI scene. I want to call it, I don't know, Stefano, because it's the first thing I came to my mind, my name, of course. And I can also specify which module should include this new view. I'm going to type down module heroes. And probably you will end up, after a while, seeing that my scenes folder elements has a Stefano view, probably not working, and with some kind of stuff. Again, I still have to polish this, but it's a lot of boilerplate that it's already in place. Basically, Maray, it's all about this. It does nothing more, and I know there is some similar software. I really like this meme, by the way. But there are differences. So you may probably think that Maray is similar to Sorcery or to SwiftGen in the matter of fact that they are using stencil templates. But the difference, as you saw, is that the files that get created are meant to be committed and edited by you. I mean, you have to include your own feature in the file you are scaffolding. Sorcery and SwiftGen usually are creating files that are not checked into source control, into Git, and they change as your code base change. Sorcery takes a look, I don't know, at protocols and automatically implements you, I don't know, mocks or codable stuff or whatever you may come up with. It's a really great tool and change our productivity since we started using it. SwiftGen does kind of the same thing, but with resources. So if you have an asset folder, you can get an enumeration in Swift with all the contents that dynamically change as you add resources to it. And Twist, it's actually the most similar and has a scaffolding feature inside it. The problem is that probably it requires a Twist project already available and in place. Probably it works also without it, but it may not be immediate to integrate it only for scaffolding purposes. What I found it lacking so far is that it doesn't have the replacement feature. So you don't see your files modified with the init function of the files you are scaffolding, okay? And on top of that, Maray is platform agnostic. So one crazy idea, if there's any freelance among you doing both iOS and Android natively at the same time, you could create a monorepo holding both of them, iOS and Android, have Maray at the root of your project, and create procedures to create stuff for Android and iOS at the same time, so that you only need to code the feature itself inside of them. Okay, it's a crazy idea, probably worthless, but it's something that you can do. You can also use it with Excel and have it deal with CSV files if you want, and if it makes sense. I don't know. I will probably never try it because I'm done with Android. It's not a thing for me. So, quick roadmap. Maray was developed in Swift, as I said. If you were to develop a tool from the command line in Swift, there's a proper way of doing that that is used by almost every tool in Swift, that is to have 1% of the code in the command line interface and 99% of the code in your kit file. In our case, it's called Maray Kit or Sorcery Kit. I don't know if Sorcery is made with that, but it's a quite common procedure, so that you can take that as a Swift package and include it, if it makes sense, in another frameworks. We are way behind with the documentation of Maray Kit, but we will hopefully end up having it soon enough. Another thing that we can have, many people doesn't like the idea of dealing with the terminal command line interface. So a first thing we can do is use SwiftUI to create a Maray bar, meaning that it's an icon next to the clock in the top left corner of your Mac, and have it select you the procedure and have a small window where you can type the context, the name of the stuff you need. Or we can go bigger. I have already tried that, inspired by other popular software, and have Maray Studio, meaning that it's a place where you can you can you have on one side your stencil templates, on the other side the resolved stencil templates, and see it live how it changes. It's really useful for developing bones. And I think it's basically it. I hope you enjoyed it. This is the repository. We just released version 3.0 because actually we started back in 2018 with this project. So we went through a lot of iteration and improvements. Let me know what you think, and I hope this actually made any sense at all. Thank you very much.